Welcome to the Missouri Occupational Therapy Association's presentation on Advocacy Week 2021. We cannot meet in person this year, so we will be having a virtual Advocacy Week with multiple opportunities to participate. On March 2nd at 7 p.m., we will have a presentation and roundtable addressing diversity, equity, and inclusion in OT, hosted in collaboration with the Missouri OT Black Caucus. Wednesday, March 3rd, we will have a lunch and learn with representatives from the American Occupational Therapy Association. Thursday, March 4th at 7 p.m., we will have a presentation and question and answer session with representatives from the Missouri OT Association. On Friday, March 6th, we will wrap up the week with a networking event at 7 p.m., hosted by Dr. Amy Stark, president of the Missouri OT Association. When you meet with individuals in Jefferson City, think about your elevator speech. Do you have a way in which to explain occupational therapy in 30 seconds? As a follow-up, think about why you chose occupational therapy as a career. This is most impactful when you can connect it with your research, your specific practice area, or a story from your life that highlights why you chose OT. In this instance, you may be the first experience someone has had with occupational therapy. You are the resource for this individual, and as such, you may leave a lasting impression that influences legislative choices in the future. When you're meeting with legislators and their staff, a neat, clean, professional appearance is important, and business casual is a good guideline. If you're a student, your faculty will be able to assist you regarding the best approach to dress code. For professionals, think about what you would wear for a job interview. Make sure footwear is comfortable, as the Capitol building is large and you may have to traverse its halls multiple times once we can meet in person again. These guidelines are also appropriate for Zoom meetings. If you do not know who your specific representative and senator is for your district, you can find that information by knowing your full 9-digit zip code and then inputting that information to the Missouri House and Missouri Senate websites referenced here. You can set up a virtual meeting by emailing a legislative aide. Make sure to state that you are a constituent, someone who lives in their district, as this will increase your chances of securing a meeting. When meeting with a legislator or staffer, either online or in person, introduce yourself to others present and thank them for taking the time to meet with you. Explain that you are representing the Missouri OT Association and wish to discuss the role of occupational therapy in relation to the health and well-being of individuals throughout Missouri. Politely ask if they are familiar with OT. Then communicate what OT entails with gentle correction of any misconceptions. It is helpful to identify 1 or 2 issues you wish to discuss. If you can include the bill numbers, that is preferable. Make sure that you're referencing House bills when interacting with representatives and their staff, and Senate bills when interacting with senators and their staff. During your discussion, make your ask. Do you want them to support the legislation? Prior to the meeting, consider if it is reasonable to add OT to the bill, as discussions with legislators provide the opportunity to have them consider adding OT to the identified bills. Finally, thank them for taking the time to meet with you. Be sure to leave any informational materials you may have brought with you. For virtual meetings, follow up with an email and appropriate links to information. Make sure you know the best way in which to follow up after the meeting. Ask for contact information, and if they prefer email, phone calls, whatever way they wish to be contacted. It is okay to request a picture. There may be a policy, personal or professional, that does not allow social media posts or has specific guidelines as to how social media is used, so be sure to ask prior to posting. Send a follow-up note or email and thank them for their time. Remind them of pertinent points of your discussion and attach any resources that may have been requested during the meeting. If needed, involve MODA if follow-up is required in relation to legislation or relationships that could be built with legislators. As with any professional interaction, please do not arrive late for your meeting. Legislators' schedules are unpredictable and frequently change at the last minute, so do not get discouraged if your legislator is late to the meeting or if you end up meeting with a staff member. In fact, staff members are a vital connection to your legislator. Make sure to give them enough information and leave them with materials if needed, so they understand your ask and feel comfortable relating that to the senator or representative. Finally, do not assume they know about the field of occupational therapy or that they are familiar with issues concerning the profession. Remember that you are representing MODA in your discussions. A positive interaction can lead to further collaboration, whereas a negative interaction hinders MODA's ability to effectively advocate on behalf of the profession in the future. Remember to keep the focus on occupational therapy and not stray from the topic at hand. Be sure to communicate your message effectively and professionally. As stated before, legislators rely on us to make them aware of issues, and we rely on them to represent our voices. They're just like you and are willing to listen and to learn. Please refer to the above resources for talking with legislators. The first is a list of tips for calling legislators, and the following two are YouTube videos from prior Missouri representatives discussing the best way to approach and interact with legislators. Key points this year include the OT Licensure Compact, which has been introduced in both the House and Senate, referred to committee, and had first hearings. In relation to Missouri HealthNet, proposed changes to reimbursement, eligibility, access to, and provision of services are being monitored. Advocacy does not just happen 1 week in March. It is a year-round endeavor. We need you to help us support occupational therapy in Missouri. Telehealth, the OT Practice Act, OT Scope of Practice, Medicaid expansion, COVID legislation, and education are just a handful of areas in which MODA has advocated for the profession of OT in the past year and will continue to do so in the future. Following Advocacy Week, stay in contact with your legislators, as building those relationships can be easy and beneficial. Make sure to stay connected with MODA, as they represent the needs of OT practitioners and students in Missouri. If you are interested in joining the Legislative Task Force, please email modagovaffairs@gmail.com. This committee is open to students and practitioners. Questions to ask yourself prior to Advocacy Week include: what do you expect from Advocacy Week? Do you have previous experience with interacting with legislators? How can that assist with preparing you to interact with individuals in Jefferson City, virtually or in person this year? If you have any questions, please contact Michelle Jackson at modagovaffairs@gmail.com. Thank you.